Bitcoiners, pre-coiners, new coiners, no coiners, and of course, Swan Force members, welcome to Swan Lounge, a weekly show in which you get to hang out with the Swan team and some of our friends from the incredibly exciting world of, you guessed it, Bitcoin. Now, before we dive in, as always, we are giving away Jan Pritzker's book, Inventing Bitcoin, for free in an effort to spread Bitcoin knowledge. You can go to swanbitcoin.com/free book to claim your copy. We have it in 3 different ebook formats, as well as MP3, read by our friend Guy Swan over at Bitcoin Audible. All we ask is that you pay it forward. Share the book with at least 3 friends and family, preferably more. We also have the book available in español. Y puede descargar su copia en www.swanbitcoin.com/libro gratis. Even more exciting, we are also giving away Gigi's incredible book, 21 Lessons. If you haven't read it yet, go to swanbitcoin.com/21 lessons to get your free copy. It's one of my favorite books. And we have another book to give away. So many books, I know, but at Swan, education is our marketing, and Bitcoin education is not one size fits all. So, you know, this book might be great for this family member. This book might be great for that friend over there. You never know. Anyway, hopefully you've read some of his work, but if not, go to swanbitcoin.com/whybitcoin and get yourself a free copy of the essay series by Tomer Strolight. Tomer has also decided to join the show today. I'm super excited to have him as well. We've got some other great guests who I'll intro in just a second. Now, usually this is where I shill Swan Force. Swan Force, this is our amazing referral program. But since that is the entire focus of the show, or part of the focus of the show, I'm not going to talk about Swan Force because I'm going to assume that you're already signed up. And if you're not already signed up, I'm disappointed. I guess I am going to shill Swan Force. Go to www.swanbitcoin.com/enlist. Sign up for our amazing referral program. You will get paid to do what you're already doing. You get paid to recruit Bitcoiners to Swan. You'll get your own custom link. Anyone who uses your link will get $10 of free Bitcoin, and you will get the referral credits for an entire year. You'll get 25% of the fees that we earn for an entire year on all their purchases. If you're new to the show, by the way, welcome. This is Swan Lounge. It is a production of Swan Bitcoin. We are the easiest, best way to get onboarded to Bitcoin, to get buying Bitcoin automatically or instantly. We've got fees like 80% lower than Coinbase. We've got amazing educational resources. The entire team is Bitcoiners. All we care about is Bitcoin. All we think about is Bitcoin. All we eat, breathe, sleep. It's all Bitcoin. So we're here for you. And I think that's the end of the opening shill. Wait, one last thing. You know what I'm going to say. Hit like, hit subscribe. I know it's annoying, but the reason why is it helps us grow the show, helps us spread the good word about Bitcoin, and that's what we're here for. So today, the Swan Force All-Stars episode, we are joined by Jessica Hodler. We've joined by Mitchell, who's co-host of the COB podcast. We are joined by Dan, my hero, the best Uber Eats driver in all of Atlanta. And we've got Tomer Strolight, and of course, the 5-star Swan Force general, basically the Joan of Arc of Bitcoin, leading the charge, Camilla Campton. And I'm out of breath, so I think it's time we bring our guests in. Let me just unmute everybody. One more click. Sorry, I lied. One more click, and it's time for Swan Lounge. Welcome, everybody.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yo. That was an amazing introduction, by the way, and I feel like your Spanish just keeps getting better every time you show our book in Spanish. It gets me super pumped.
I gotta say though that those words raya diagonal, that just like it trips me up every time, and I can do the like I can do it. It's just like I gotta practice that one more. It's
I feel like if you say slash, you'll be okay. People will understand. Or you can say no. You have to put an e at the beginning, so it's slash.
It's slash. Yes.
I'm impressed. It sounded to me like it was your native tongue.
It sounded fluent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of my problem, though. I'm good with accents, so I can fool people into thinking I speak Spanish, and then I'll say something, and then they'll just assume, oh, this guy speaks Spanish, and anyway, right. It's a mess. It's getting better, though. It's getting better, and maybe one day I'll actually be able to shill Bitcoin in Spanish. But until then, Camilla, I leave that to you. So today, welcome again, everybody. We are here to talk about Swan Force and how to evangelize Bitcoin in a meaningful way, in a way that actually results in new Bitcoiners and helps to spread the word. But before we do that, we got some new faces on the show. Thank you all for joining. I was thinking we do kind of the, the corny normal thing that we always do, which is to ask for your Bitcoin stories, because I'd love to hear them. Why don't we start with Mitchell? We'll go to Jessica, and then we'll go to Dan. And you know what? I want to hear Tomer's also, because I don't think I've heard that one yet. So I'd love to hear a little bit about how you got into Bitcoin, and anything else you'd like to share. So Mitchell, welcome to the show. Who
Thanks
are
for
you?
having me on, man.
Who are you?
I'm pretty much, I'm just a normal pleb. I got into Bitcoin last year at the end of 2020. So I got sent home from college and I was bored at home. I ended up watching a lot of Thomas Sowell, got really red-pilled on limited government. And then I realized, oh, this stimulus money isn't just coming from nowhere. It is coming from nowhere. It's just being printed off. I was like, how am I going to stop inflation? I found Bitcoin. I bought a little bit of it in like September. It's almost 1 year since then. And then it wasn't around till December and January of this year when I really dived in. I found Pomp and I started watching a lot of his videos. And I was using an alias named Moise. I was anonymous on YouTube. I kept commenting to get on his show Lunch Money. Eventually Pomp had me on his show Lunch Money. And then I was in Pomp's course. And out of that, I met some people and we started a Bitcoin podcast called Citizens of Blockchain. So that's pretty much how I got to where I am today.
I love it. Can I ask also, like, what excites you most about Bitcoin these days? What areas are you looking into, or what are you reading up on, and things like that?
Mostly just the memes and spreading the word of Bitcoin. I used to see like memes back in the day, like before I really knew what Bitcoin was. I saw it in passing. I'm like, all right, these are a bunch of weirdos. This is some weird like fringe online group, and it still does feel like a fringe online group to me. And I don't know. There's a lot of humor. There's inside jokes. Like I'll show my friends a meme and they're just like, I don't get this, man. So I want to help people understand, because it's just a great community to be a part of.
Hell yeah. I love it. All right, Jessica, your turn.
All right. So my mom actually orange pilled me. And she has been.
Sorry, Jessica. I'm going to have to ask you to leave the show. We're going to need your mother to join us on the show instead.
Is your mother with you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. She's not here, unfortunately. She
was at the Bitcoin conference, and she was such a sweetheart. So.
All right, we'll have her on the next one. I'm sorry for interrupting.
Yeah. But literally what it was is every morning before she would take me to school while I was in high school, it was, there's this thing called Bitcoin. It's going to save us all. Like, we don't have to worry anymore. And like, I was 14. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And then I came home one summer and she was like, okay, listen to me. I need you to listen. Just look into Bitcoin, like read about it. And I'm not even going to tell you like that you need to like it. Like, just learn about it yourself. And since then, it's been amazing. And I've got onto Bitcoin Twitter like 3 months ago, and that's been incredible. I had no idea there was such a community out here, because I've been in Bitcoin like by myself for a couple of years, and I was just like, oh my gosh, what have I been missing out on?
We actually, this is kind of something I've known, but it really hit home why community can be important. I think when we jumped onto Clubhouse, because we would start hosting these rooms, and inevitably you'd run into a Bitcoiner who gets up on stage, and like you have to ask them to like stop talking. And I was like, why are these people? Granted, I don't shut up about Bitcoin either, but I had this realization. I'm like, oh my God, there really are so many people who are discovering Bitcoin on their own, and they don't have people to talk to about Bitcoin. And when they find the community, like, I'm like, it gave me a lot of understanding for some of these folks. It's like, oh, this guy just won't shut up about Bitcoin. Let someone else speak. But it's really like he was really craving community, right? So it's so important. Thank you, Jessica. Dan, I'm gonna look for the tweets that have come out about your deliveries, because they every time we find one, they just make our day. So what's your Bitcoin story, and how are things going on the Uber front for orange pilling people?
Hey, yeah. So I've always been fascinated with that of like the digital and mathematics and things of that nature. So my journey actually started when I was going down discovering digital assets in the sense of domains and engineering, value to those domains by leveraging like different tactics, search tactics, and things of that nature. And I met somebody in a entrepreneur space, worked with them, and they actually introduced me to Bitcoin. And so from there, I shifted into a position of trying to study trading and leverage that capacity, try to make some capital. But yeah, once the Bitcoin bug bites you, you never kind of stray too far. So I worked in the industry for about 3 or 4 years until about 2018. Then just kind of managed my assets until now. And instead of paying off my credit card debt, I decided to just pick up a job doing some Uber Eats. Saw the parallels between the kind of tactics I was using to leverage, maximizing my capital and my revenue for Uber Eats and potentially orange pilling people. So I thought I would just start a business card and see if I can get another touch, into people, maybe direct mail touch or a more personal touch of somebody that's involved in this space, and see if it might be the last touch that's needed in order to get them in the industry. So just been really excited with everything that's going on, and I think Lightning really is going to change a lot in the short and medium future. And just looking forward to it all. Happy to be at BitBlock Boom too.
You're on mute, Bryce.
I'm sorry. We are definitely gonna talk about BitBlock Boom in a sec, but before we move on to Tomer, I wanted to share with everyone what Dan is doing because it's just badass. Let me zoom in on this. Basically, we out of nowhere, someone tagged this, took a picture of what Dan was up to. He's leaving this awesome card with his Uber Eats deliveries. It's just awesome. Well done. More people need to do this.
It's amazing. I love the creativity behind it, especially since, people that don't know about Bitcoin, they're going to be like, is this thing real? Like, what is this? So it's like the QR code there is absolutely genius. And it just takes someone down the rabbit hole while they have an amazing burger. Like, that's like the best way you could probably go down the rabbit hole.
Actually, yeah, think about that. Like, you're in a good mood because you're eating something tasty, so you're more receptive to Bitcoin. No, don't orange pill someone on an empty stomach. That's just never a good idea.
That's the first tip of the show.
All right, Tomer.
Oh man, it's a long story for me. So, but I'm going to keep it short. The year was 2013. I was I feel like I'm older than all of you guys combined.
Tomer's only 25, by the way. This is what being in Bitcoin this long looks like.
Yeah. I'd been in business for 25 years. I was doing private equity work every day. I had people pitching me new businesses of theirs with their PowerPoint presentations, and they would always ask, what do you think my business is worth? And I would always joke with them in my reply and say somewhere between zero and all the money in the world. I thought I was being funny. And then a friend introduced me to Bitcoin, and I read the white paper, and I'm like, oh my God, this is either going to be zero or all the money in the world. And I started tumbling down the rabbit hole deep. I got involved in mining. I tried to study all the cryptography and everything behind it. And was involved in the in the block size wars. Became a moderator on Bitcoin Reddit. And so it's been a long journey, and I started writing earlier this year. Someone yesterday told me that every 7 years, every cell in your through every 7 year period, every cell in your body is replaced. And so now I'm like 8 or 9 years into Bitcoin. So every cell in my body has been around is only post Bitcoin. So I'm like 100%. No cell in my body doesn't know a life without Bitcoin, and it sure feels that way.
I've never thought about that. That's
oh my gosh, yeah.
I guess me too now. Oof.
Right. Well, that's it. Your eyes have turned into Bitcoins, just in case.
Yeah. I keep getting complaints that they're distracting people in the chat, so I'll take them off. But the hat's staying, okay? Sorry. It's Swan Force Day. I'm wearing my Swan Force hat. You can get over that. Soccer World. But welcome to the show, Soccer World. We're glad to have you. All right, let's talk BitBlock Boom, because I can't be there, and I'm very jealous. It's one of my favorite conferences. My dog, who's sitting here looking all cute, is the reason why I couldn't go, because he got sick. So it's his fault. But now I get to live vicariously through you all. Jessica, you're there, and Dan, you're there. Tomer, you're not there. You're home, aren't you?
I'm not. I'm here, which is home.
Home is where the private keys are. No.
Says who? You're trying to get information leaked out.
Maybe.
I lost mine, so I guess that makes me homeless.
Right.
Yeah, if home is where the private keys are,
I love that.
if home is where the private keys are, then the ocean is my home. So Jessica, Dan, yes, Jessica and Dan, this is your first time at BitBlock Boom or no?
Yeah, first time.
Yeah,
Super
same, first time.
Tell us about it so far. Tell us about what you're excited to see and do and meet. Just allow me to live vicariously through you. Give me the lowdown.
Well, last night was a lot of fun. We had dinner at a dance hall, and while we were eating, they also had like two-step dance teaching going on, and there were people like dancing in their cowboy boots. It was so fun to see, and it was so nice just to be around everybody again. We have another dinner tonight. The Bitcoiners took over the Marriott lobby basically till like 2 a.m. And it's just nice to be around everybody again. I've missed it. I wish we could do this like once a month.
We should do this once a month. Makes me want to move to Texas, to be honest. I mean, I'm thinking about it. It might happen. We'll see. Anyway, Dan, what about you? What are you looking forward to at the conference? And yeah.
Yeah, I've actually been in Texas. I came down to Austin. There was a Pleb Phi event down there. Met a bunch of people and really just kind of got a better understanding of the developments that are going on. And that was such an amazing experience. I guess you could say the number one thing I'm looking forward to is just like serendipitous, like, relationships building and just kind of meeting people and getting a refill on the orange pill prescription, figuring out, how I can redistribute. So excited for everything to come.
Oh, that just gave me an idea. If there are any pharmacists watching who are Bitcoiners, it'd be really funny if when you gave someone their prescription, you also gave them another like orange pill container and your Swan Force link and a piece of paper inside. Just putting that out there into the ether. Oh, not ether. Sorry. Excuse me.
Which fork?
I actually have a question for the guys here, since the guys here are Swan Force members, which is absolutely amazing. It makes me super happy that I feel like we have little troopers out there that are just like fighting the fight every day and trying to orange pill someone. So I'm super curious to hear about who was the first person that you guys orange pilled or tried to orange pill, and how did that go?
I tried to orange pill my dad, and I'm still working on it. But the first person I successfully orange pill is one of my best friends, Levi. He's into real estate, and he's like a limited government type of guy like me. He's the smartest person I know, like my age, and he didn't go to college. He's a real smart guy, and I kept hounding him on it, and eventually he picked it up, and now he aped in back in like April or May, and so he's glad the price is sort of back where it was, because he was over the summer he wasn't too happy about it.
Was he not too happy with you?
He's like, no, he understood it. And he knew the long term, but he was just like, dang, I should have not aped in. I should have DCA'd.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What was it that finally pushed him over the hump, do you think? Was it just the repeated talking to him about it? Because
I think the repetition and also just the scarcity aspect. He really understood the limited 21 million. That's really what gives it value.
Love that. Tomer, do you remember the first person you orange pilled?
Oh man, I tried for like 4 years before I think I actually got somebody to listen to me. And the first real opportunity I had was actually a friend called me up out of the blue after I'd been talking about Bitcoin for 3 years. And he said, oh, my computer got ransomware. Can I buy a Bitcoin off of you for $400? Because that's what the guy wants. And I was like, well, I don't sell my Bitcoin, but I can try to help you find a place. And I was this close to getting him to buy 2 Bitcoins, one for himself and one for the hacker. And he was like, $400. I'm like, what am I going to do with a Bitcoin ever for $400? So that was as close as, that was my first close, like after 3 years of trying, and the guy had to buy Bitcoin anyways. He only bought enough to give back to a hacker. Think of the valuable lesson he would have actually learned if he had taken it the other way. And then the first first time I actually remember somebody was, again, someone who I worked with who was super smart and was always ahead of with everything in the digital space. But in this one case, I had been ahead of her. And it was at the end of 2016. She was like, okay, let's do this. It's expensive. It's like it's pushing $1,000, but what the heck, bite the bullet and maybe buy one Bitcoin. And I told her that she needed to download the entire blockchain first, because that's what you did back in those days. And she was very angry with me, but she still bought the Bitcoin. And I know she's quite happy with the outcome subsequently. So that was, it was hard at first. It's gotten a lot easier, I got to say.
Soccer World, well done. I got my 14-year-old son to buy in. He is well ahead of his peers. I agree. To anyone else in the chat, if you've got some fun orange pilling stories, you want to drop them in the chat, let us know. We'll share them and talk about them. I'd love to hear the stories. Jessica, do you remember the first time you orange pilled someone successfully?
Yeah.
We can talk unsuccessfully later, actually.
It was my dad. And for him, it was the scarcity, the 21 million. He's a numbers guy, so I mean, it's hard to beat that. It'll never be inflated and maintains its scarcity.
Amen to that. My dad finally has some Bitcoin. I'm not sure if he's totally sold. Dad, if you're watching this, are you sold yet? Do you believe in it? Let's talk later. I'll call you later. Love you. Anyway, Dan, your first time orange pilling someone. Also, has anyone, have you gotten any calls from the Uber cards yet or not yet? And when did you start doing that? So many questions. Sorry.
Yeah. So I started doing the Uber. A friend of mine was telling me just how lucrative it was back in the early COVID days when no one was walking outside their house and whatnot. So, I didn't believe him. I was like, no way. And then he started showing me some things that he was doing. And I was like, man, because, I had some credit card debt that I was planning to pay off. But, I decided instead I would just take some time and do some Uber Eats driving instead of trading. And then, just like pay off the credit card debt with that. And I shoveled the rest of the money into Bitcoin. So, I'd say it's it was a good choice in my opinion. But yeah, I'd say I did like 100 to 200 rides. And then after that, decided to, leverage what I was already doing and just go get some business cards for super cheap, like 15, 20 bucks. And then, just see what happens. And I haven't really gotten any calls necessarily, but maybe some of the spam calls might have been actual people. I don't know. But I guess I should be more specific about reaching out to me on Twitter. That's probably the most accessible like DM space where I'm, going to be able to amicably talk to people and whatnot. But yeah, so I just hope that, like I said, even if it's not my link necessarily, it's just another touch in the iterative process of getting more people to the market.
Yeah, it definitely takes a number of touches, right? Like, how many people do we know that, will hit you up and say, isn't Bitcoin dead? I thought it was dead. And now, they hear about it again and a few more times in the news and they finally dig in. It takes some time. I've got a buddy who I went to film school with. He might be watching if you're out there. And now he's the first one to text me when something new happens. And when, there's an update on the protocol or in the news. And, every time the price spikes, he texts me, I love you, which is always nice. Although we're not here just for number go up. But,
I have a question for Dan. Where did the idea come from of actually creating these cards on your own and like start giving them out? Like, where did it come from?
Well, essentially, I guess you could say marketing, even from your guys' side, kind of helped. I mean, I was listening to Swan Bitcoin stuff and people from that realm of the Bitcoin space a lot in my car, and while I was driving around, I saw it as a great opportunity, just listening to Bitcoin stuff, which I'm doing anyways, with what I was doing prior. And so I would just turn on Bitcoin podcasts, turn on Swan Lounge, what have you, and just be driving around. And then it just kind of struck me one day that, I'm meeting all these people. Well, maybe not even meeting them, but they have some sort of interaction with me. And I'm not Bitcoining them. I'm not there. I don't have the capacity or the ability to, put out there the reason what I'm doing, what I'm listening to in my car. And I was like, well, it's an easy opportunity to just kind of, go get out there and see if I can help spread some change.
It's funny, you kind of turn the paradigm on its head. Like most Bitcoiners, we always like share stories on Twitter about how we get into an Uber and try to orange pill the Uber driver. And now you've totally turned it around, which is fantastic.
That's amazing.
I've got a recommendation though. We've got a little like placard that you can print out that has the QR code for the free book giveaway. You could put that in the back of your car and people could, scan and get the free book while they're driving.
Yeah, I thought about just putting like a giant Bitcoin symbol and having that sort of displayed on the back of my car, along with maybe some other things, maybe a QR code. I don't know, but there are definitely some OPSEC concerns possibly with that, but I don't know. It's just neither here nor there.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we've got a couple of comments here. Friend orange pilled me in 2017. Now he doesn't even talk about it anymore. He lost his way, but my laser eyes are on. That's sad to hear, but I think there's something real to Bitcoin fatigue, especially like me, and I've been in this space a long time, and you've got to find ways to reinvigorate yourself. Like Bitcoin is so exciting, but if that's all you think about every day, you got to go out and live. You got to go, go to Bitcoin conferences. Don't just go on Bitcoin Twitter. You got to mix it up a little bit.
And to that point, I just want to speak about something we were working on in Austin with my buddy X Frog, and there's another guy from Plebnet. We actually helped build this Docker image for a testnet environment around Lightning. So you should never be bored. Well, you can always get fatigued, but as long as you continue to be curious and drive deeper, I mean, there's really endless bounds of possibility with some of the stuff the developers are building. And hopefully, as we continue to navigate forward, even with zero capital, you'll be able to mess around with some of these concepts and hopefully get on mainnet Lightning. And hopefully Signet and Plebnet Playground, if you go to plebnet.fun, that's the repository. Go ahead. You can spin up a VM or throw it onto a machine that you've got locally, and get started and start a Lightning wallet and get connected, and hopefully we'll continue that forward.
I love that, man. Yeah, if you're getting bored, you're just not looking in the right places. So hit up a Bitcoiner and ask them what they're excited about, and they'll point you in the right direction. Dude, I'm glad to hear you're in Plebnet. I didn't know that. My node has been down for like over a month, and the sync finally finished for right before the show started. I'm gonna have to redo all my channels, but I didn't feel complete without my Bitcoin node. It was a very weird feeling. I felt like half a person, and so I'm glad to be up and running. Maybe we'll do some more lightning chat later in the show. What I'd love to do though is talk more about orange pilling and like what has worked well for you and what has not worked well. Like in your experience, what have you tried? What lessons have you learned? And what kind of lessons can you share with anyone who's watching about how to successfully talk to Bitcoin to people? And I know it's kind of a difficult question because it really depends on knowing your audience and who you're talking to. But I'd love to kind of hear what you've learned along the way. Why don't we start with Jessica, if you're ready?
Sure. What's worked for me is it's kind of hard to refute numbers because it's right or wrong. There's no interpretation about it. So I like to start off with that. And I guess what hasn't worked is maybe throwing them on Bitcoin Twitter right away.
Are you saying that we're toxic? Is that what you're saying?
I love it. But for some people, it maybe once they've gone down the rabbit hole and know why we're so passionate about Bitcoin, it's not just about the money. It's a lifestyle. It's a way of living. It's, you lower your time preference, you become a happier person, you care more about the way you live. And maybe then once they've learned more about it, then we can throw them in Bitcoin Twitter. But I like to go with the numbers and how it'll change the world.
I love that. I always try to find something personal, right? Like something that makes sense. Like my background is Jewish. So if I'm talking to an older Jewish person, for example, or anyone who's part of a diaspora, I'll always try to I'll pitch the side of Bitcoin, that it's money that no one can take away from you, that you can take with you. You know, how many people around the world have had to pick up in the middle of the night and leave with nothing but the clothing on their back, right? But if they had Bitcoin, well, they could take their wealth with them. So I love finding those kind of little angles that work for particular people, right? Dan, how about you, sir? What have you learned along the way that you can share with us? And then we'll go to Tomer and Mitchell. And maybe Camilla.
Hey, give me a second. Sorry, I'm gonna step outside.
Nope, no worries. Tomer, on to you, buddy.
So I've found that there's lots of different tactics and different stories and different angles by which you need to orange pill people. You need to start by asking questions and finding out what's important to them. But that's why I started doing the writing that I did, actually. So the book that I have for free on swanbitcoin.com/whybitcoin is 25 very short articles, all of them only 3 minutes long, each one of which is a different angle by which to orange pill somebody, like why choose Bitcoin, if someone's an explorer, why Bitcoin's a new frontier, why its buying power keeps rising for people who are interested, people who are into physics, there's why Bitcoin's rules are enforced by physics. And so there's lots and lots of different angles. My favorite article amongst them all, which is actually very useful, and I teach a course and I begin with that article and an expansion on it called Why Bitcoin is Not Like Anything You've Ever Seen Before. And it really just clears people's minds, because people show up and they're like, oh, I know all about investing. I'll buy shares in Bitcoin, or Bitcoin's a company, or who's in charge of Bitcoin. And it's like, no, Bitcoin's not like any of these things. When you clear people's mind, then they're able to understand it a little bit better, because you've erased all these presumptions that they're buying shares in a company and that somebody's in charge and that it has employees and that there's some foundation, and there's somebody to appeal to, and that there's some head and some like it's got none of these things. And so that is, and that one's like only a 2-minute reader. So I know I'm plugging my book here, but it's really beneficial to help people get into Bitcoin, to start talking about it without by erasing all of the presumptions that they have that it's like something else. Because how often do you run into something that's totally not like anything you've ever seen before in your life? And then we end up having all sorts of fun conversations about it. And sooner or later, they're like, all right, I'll give it they're certainly interested in Bitcoin afterwards. And that just that's a seed that's planted that needs to hatch or sprout after a little bit of time.
I really love that you mentioned asking questions. I think that's so important. I think back to even the Bitcoin Standard, for example. Most of the book is not about Bitcoin, right? Most of the book is about money and getting people to question what money is. And I think getting people to ask these questions about their reality and about what's real and what isn't, and how things work is paramount to really getting people to want to fall down the Bitcoin rabbit hole. You can lead someone to water, but you can't make them drink the Bitcoin Kool-Aid. Right. Mitchell, how about you, sir?
What you mentioned there about money is usually the way I go, especially because I've only been in it for almost a year, not quite. So the inflation that's been going on, especially over the summer, that's usually what I point to, because all I got to do is like Jessica said, numbers don't lie. I point at the prices, housing prices going up, M2 stock going up, and I go into economics, the 21 million, I just hound on that. It's scarcity, and people also like to think it's a scam when they hear it right away. So I just try and explain the concept of nodes. They're everywhere. There's tens of thousands in different countries. Like China can say Bitcoin's illegal, but it doesn't stop someone from the US from running a node and keeping the ledger. So I usually, because I study economics, so I try and use the money route to orange pill. Can
I ask, you're studying economics in college, but I'm assuming that the curriculum is very Keynesian in nature. How are you? Oh
my gosh. Yeah.
So you sit in class and open up, go to Mises.org and you're just grinding your teeth the whole time? Or
I try and wear my Bitcoin shirt as much as I can, just so everyone knows. But we were doing foreign exchange rates, and I'm sitting there groaning because we're not going to need these. And then my other econ class, my professor literally said, oh, if you take away used cars and houses, inflation's not that bad. Look at the CPI. And I'm like, no, I just want to pull my hair out. And one person asked a question about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. They asked about cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is going to be in the Forex market or whatever. And the teacher didn't really know how to answer it. She's like, oh, no, that's a separate thing. And then once class ended, I pulled that girl aside and I started to orange pill her. And she was like, oh, okay. Like, it's not like that at all. Yeah. Just sitting in those classes drives me crazy because I feel like I should be the one up there teaching.
You should just get up there one day and be like, okay, guys, lesson 1 of your orange pill journey.
Get to class early, start writing on the board. Teacher walks in, and it's like, oh.
Have one of Tomer's articles pulled up on the projector so people are reading before class even starts.
I studied economics too, Mitch, but like 30 years ago, and it was the same thing. It's probably the same professor repeating the same tired lecture that didn't make sense back then, and it has, before when computers existed, let alone the internet, let alone Bitcoin. It was exhausting back then too. And but now at least there's an alternative to talk about rather than just saying the theory makes no sense. It clearly is deeply flawed. You don't have to. You can buy Bitcoin, and Bitcoin doesn't care that he's got a chart about a multiplier effect by taxing people and throwing the money into empty holes.
Yeah.
With Bitcoin, you can opt out. Although I don't know if you're going to opt out of your economics class, but why don't we talk a little bit about like what's not effective for orange pilling someone? I think we've kind of touched on that, but maybe, I don't know, maybe you have some horror stories or times where you thought you were making progress with someone and it turns out like not at all.
I think repetition is good in moderation because I hound my parents about it and it's got to the point where they don't even want to talk about it now. I think there is a limit to how much someone wants to hear about Bitcoin before, like, if they're not interested at all, like it's just talking their ear off at some point. Yeah,
Bitcoin, I don't really like this phrase, but the more time goes by, the more I kind of see it's true. That the phrase that's like, you get Bitcoin at the price you deserve, which I don't really love. I don't like the vibes of that very much, but kind of true. One thing I did, and I don't know that I recommend it for everyone, and I didn't actually mean it when I said it, but I was trying to get my dad to read the Bitcoin Standard, and he was asking me on the phone, when are you coming to visit? When are you coming? Parents are always saying, when are you coming to visit? And I said, I'm coming. I'll come visit in a month. And then I backpedaled. I said, wait, I'll come in a month if you finish the Bitcoin Standard. So I kind of guilted him into it. I was going to visit anyway, but sometimes guilt works. You can push the right buttons.
I have a really funny story of when I was actually in the process of getting orange pilled when we were visiting my husband's family for Thanksgiving. So it's really funny because his sisters were there, right? And they're not about Bitcoin at all. So we were driving to dinner, and what Devin does is gets the Bluetooth of the car and just like puts like a Bitcoin podcast. You can hear his sisters just like groaning, like, oh my gosh, are you serious? We have to listen to this. Their little snarky remarks like, this is so boring, blah, blah, blah. So definitely don't start like shoving information down people's throats because maybe they're not ready to listen. They just don't care. They don't know why they should care. So yeah. Sometimes don't hijack the car's Bluetooth.
I did the same thing. I went to the beach with my dad. I started playing the Sailor series. And he was like, why is he talking about thermodynamics? What does that have to do with Bitcoin?
That works. Sometimes you can Trojan horse them a little bit. My dad was visiting LA and Andy Edstrom was on the Swan team as well. He's out here and he wrote Why Buy Bitcoin. And I said, Dad, we're going to go to the beach and meet a friend of mine. I said, okay. And really, I just linked him up with Andy and sat them down next to each other and asked Andy to just talk to him about Bitcoin for like an hour. Because sometimes, they're not going to listen to me. I'm his kid. Like he always thinks he knows better and he loves me and the whole thing. But sometimes it's best when it comes from someone who isn't you. So sometimes you can facilitate those conversations and it can go a long way. But I do like
Here's a story. I've orange pilled 2 dental hygienists while they cleaned my teeth. And I had my iPhone kind of on my chest playing Guy Swan's podcast and occasionally stopping when she would ask, like, what exactly did you just explain there? And she'd take the tools out of my mouth for a minute and I would clarify a point and then we'd resume. And it's happened twice.
That's pretty brilliant, actually.
It wasn't intentional. I was listening to the podcast at the same time, but it actually was effective.
Let's do some brainstorming on air right now about some creative ways to do this, because there's so many angles to kind of to not necessarily to orange pill someone to fully get them down the rabbit hole, but to just get them curious. Like just yesterday, I was at the hardware store and I was wearing a Bitcoin beach shirt, and the cashier was just like, "There's a beach for Bitcoin? Like, what is this?" And we spent 10 minutes talking about it, and something as simple as a t-shirt can do that. So I'm going to inception this right now. Any ideas? Come on. What do we got? What do we got?
Hey, I'm actually wearing a Bitcoin jersey I made and wore in 2017 right now, BitBlock Boom. So, I just thought it would be cool. It's sort of a paradox because of the OPSEC concern and whatnot, but I just thought it'd be interesting because at some point there will be a Bitcoin team and a Bitcoin sponsored stadium, and that's going to normalize Bitcoin as a wearable.
Is the number on your jersey 21?
It's 2009 because that's when it started. So 09 Nakamoto.
That's good.
Nice.
Love that.
Nice. Yeah, I have a phone case that's orange and it's got a Bitcoin sticker on the back. That sparked some conversations.
I think we've kind of, it used to definitely be a concern for people, and it still should be somewhat of a concern. OPSEC, of course, right, for various reasons. But I don't know. I think it kind of depends on your personal situation, how much Bitcoin you have, how safe it is, how secure you are with how you've secured it. But to me, like, it's more important to like wear a Bitcoin shirt and go out and get asked questions than worry about a $5 wrench attack, which I don't think is a major concern these days.
To that point, I just feel like there's the people on the crux of this industry who are like trying to, make breakthroughs and really change the game in the cryptography and mathematics space. They're very highly intelligent and they're very cautious. So security is just such a valuable aspect to them, which is a good thing to preach, but it is important to understand about that there's like a break-even point there to evangelization versus OPSEC. And I think, with the right tactics, you can approach both with a very amicable perspective.
100%. So Camilla's got a Swan Force update for all of us, kind of to talk a bit more informationally about this. So I'm going to give her the stage. I'm going to ask you while Camilla's talking, if you can come up, if you have any more stories from orange pilling that you can remember. If you do, great. If not, we've got something else fun to move on to. We are going to bring back Swan Force Fridays. So for those of you who don't know, Swan Force Fridays is when we put our guests on the clock. We give them 60 seconds to give us their best Bitcoin pitches. And today, and usually we always give everyone the option, like, who are you going to pitch? You're going to pitch grandma, you're going to pitch, I don't know, Donald Trump, whoever you want, right? It can be serious, it can be funny, it can be everything in between. And I was thinking it would be fun if we did a couple of serious ones and a couple of funny ones because it's Friday and we're just having a good time. So Camilla, I'm going to, 1 second. I'm going to full screen you, give our guests a little break.
Okay.
Pressure. And then
hold on. I have one more story to tell you guys that's completely hilarious that I thought it was like a dream, but it wasn't. So I was having dinner with my husband here in Denver, and there was a bar right behind us. There was this guy who, when he got his bill, he was like, I have to pay $12 for this beer? Like, this is crazy. Inflation, blah, blah, blah. We're like, okay, this guy's kind of funny. He's very outspoken. And then just before he left the bar, he gets up and he yells, buy Bitcoin. And everyone just like turns around. And I look at my husband like, this did not just happen. Like, what is going on? It was hilarious. And he just walked out like it was no big deal. So if you want to get people's attention, you can scream about inflation at a restaurant before you leave and then yell, buy Bitcoin. So
great tactic.
Yeah.
make a scene, literally make a scene.
And then just walk out like a gangster because you're so cool.
Right.
But yeah, you can put me full screen now if
I got one more. I was at the beach, and so I took my toe, started dragging it in the sand, and wrote buy Bitcoin in huge, like 20-yard letters. So at least like 500 or 1,000 people walked by that day and saw it.
Yeah. Some people stamp their dollar bills and it says buy Bitcoin. So it's just, creative ways to bring awareness to the conversation, to where like if someone's looking at a dollar bill and they see that, they're like, okay, why would someone feel so compelled to stamp a dollar bill with that message? That's just very strange. So
yeah, I have one too. When I was in Utah, we were in this like historical museum, and they had this little like wet board where you can draw whatever you want with water. And so I wrote buy Bitcoin, and one of the tour guides, he was like, buy Bitcoin? I was like, yeah, buy Bitcoin. He was like, yeah, I got into it like early on, but then, you know, I was thinking of getting into Doge, and I was like, oh no.
Narwhal Tacos, great name, by the way. I want to stamp dollars with Bitcoin fixes this. I've actually never seen that or heard of that yet. That's a great idea.
That's an amazing idea. And then just put your Swan Bitcoin URL so people know where to go.
So a little bit of info on stamping dollar bills, because I've gone down this rabbit hole. Because people always ask, is it illegal to do that, to deface a dollar bill? It's actually not illegal to stamp something like buy Bitcoin, as long as you're not obstructing any of the important information on the dollar bill. However, unfortunately, if you're doing something to promote something commercial, like probably swanbitcoin.com, that's when it goes over the line and becomes illegal. So do what you want, but keep it legal, folks. All right, Camilla, time for the Swan Force update. Tell us about Swan Force. Tell us what's happening. Tell us what's exciting. I'll let you take it from here.
Okay, so super excited about Swan Force because I am now the one that's kind of in charge, the captain of that team. And when it comes to me saying captain, it's more of I'm your go-to girl when it comes to asking any questions, or if you have any concerns, if you need any changes done to your page, you can contact me about it. Something new that we've implemented, especially for newcomers, is that whenever you do sign up with your Swan Force link, you are going to get a chance to schedule a call with me, a quick 15-minute introduction call where we can go over tips and tricks on how to orange pill your friends, your families, so that we can go over how you can access your Swan Force dashboard. And it's just a great conversation to have. I love when people are super excited about spreading the good word of Bitcoin and seeing how I can help along the way. So it's just really good for Swan Force members out there to know that you do have this resource out there, which is myself. And I just want to be able to help you as much as I can be successful with this, because I feel like Swan Force sometimes is very, I don't know, I just don't want people to downplay it. It's actually a very amazing tool to get newcomers to join the space, not only because you get the $10 of free Bitcoin, which is awesome, but you're also gifting people with other educational resources. So one of them is, of course, Jan Pritzker's book, Inventing Bitcoin, which is an amazing resource. And then we also have now Tomer's books, and just that's the important thing that we need to remember, is that Bitcoin education is so important, not just because we're Swan Bitcoin, but because we're Bitcoiners. We really need to push the message of being able to educate people when they first come into space. So just as I said earlier, we are kind of like the little troopers out there that want to just make this world completely orange as quickly as possible. So just remember that you should equip yourself with information, resources, tools that you can then give to people that are going to be asking you questions. And yeah, I just want to let everyone know that, you know, we're one of your biggest resources. We're here to help. We're a team. We're in this together. And you can literally try to orange pill anyone, whether it's family and friends. You can try to orange pill businesses, to which if you do, you refer someone that's going to be buying large amounts of Bitcoin. We can then take you to our Swan private team, which will take amazing care of those people as well. So you just have a whole team behind you whenever you want to orange pill someone. And to anyone who hasn't gotten their link, please do, because it's free, first of all. We're going to be able to collaborate together. So go to swanbitcoin.com/enlist. And I honestly look forward to speaking with every single one of the Swan Force members to see how it's going and to see how we can improve on our end as well. So we want to be able to keep that communication completely open. It's very valuable when you get to talk to someone that's, you know, kind of behind the scenes. And yeah, I think that's it, Becky. Just excited to have more Swan Force members and to continue orange pilling people.
That was awesome. One other thing, join the Telegram group.
Yes.
And connect with other Swan Force members. And also like Dan was doing, actually it wasn't Dan who shared it, but like, please share your stories on Twitter or wherever, or even just with us personally, because we'd love to hear how it's going and help however we can. So I think that's it for Swan Force, except Swan Force Fridays. Let's get into it. I'm excited. Let me bring up the, where is it?
Timer.
The timer, the legendary timer. What view do we want to do? All right, we'll do the cinema view. No, we don't like the cinema view. I take that back. Let's go with this. All right, so I'm going to put this here. So the way this works, as I said before, is we like to put our guests on the spot. I didn't tell them about this ahead of time. Sorry, not sorry. And we like to we like to ask them to give us their best Bitcoin pitch, and you can pitch, as I said before, anyone you like. So why don't we maybe start off with some more serious pitches? Maybe I'll ask everyone to do one or two total. So we're not going to go on for hours and hours. I know there's BitBlock Boom and all sorts of exciting stuff. And Camilla's got her hand raised. What do you got for us, Camilla?
I just want to say something that I usually tell a lot of people during the intro onboarding call, which I feel like it's a very kind of effective way of pitching to someone. And you guys kind of mentioned it there, but I just kind of want to paraphrase it. So just like the Bitcoin standard, talk about a problem, right? A problem that can really kind of connect with the person that you're speaking with. And then, as funny as it sounds, and I know it's a meme, but it's literally like, and this is why Bitcoin fixes this, you know? So it's just like Seyfeddine's book, he talks about everything, the problem with money, what's going on with money. And then at the end, he's like, and this is Bitcoin, and we're able to fix it. So just try to connect with people on a personal level. Touch their heart, touch their soul, because we're humans, you know, we're also emotional beings. We like to connect in a completely different way. So yeah, just talk to as many people as you can. And that's how amazing pitches work usually.
I love that. And I just had an idea for a really funny pitch. Tomer, I'm going to put you through this.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. You know what? We're going to start with a funny pitch because I need to hear this. Tomer, how would you like to pitch Bitcoin to Vitalik Buterin?
Okay. You start the timer.
All right. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. In 3,
I didn't
2,
prepare for this, but yeah.
No, that's perfect. And to our other guests, if you could think about who you'd like to pitch yourselves, someone right now, like someone serious, someone you know in your life who isn't into Bitcoin, but you wish they were. And then maybe we can do some funnier ones after that. All right, Tomer, in 3, 2, 1.
All right. Well, you know how Ethereum is destined to keep halting and keep breaking and keep forking unintentionally until it eventually comes crashing down. You've got all this Ethereum that you pre-mined before the project launched. You need something to be able to store your value after that whole thing comes crashing down and becomes worthless. And there is this thing called Bitcoin, which doesn't need hard forks to keep running. It has a steady monetary policy that doesn't ever change. It was only ever built to be sound money for everybody in the whole wide world. It doesn't change its mind about what it needs to be. Nobody runs scams on top of it. It's not a scam making machine. And so in the long term, you're going to want to store your wealth for something really valuable that's going to be around for forever, for the rest of your life. And if you ever have kids or heirs, it'll be there for them. And that's what this Bitcoin thing is. It's way better. I still got 10 seconds left. And it doesn't have a difficulty bomb. Nobody put a difficulty bomb inside the thing to stop the system from working. In fact, its creator created a difficulty adjustment to make sure that it keeps running no matter what. So it's really extraordinary, and you don't even know who made it. It's not like some guy who I'm talking to. It's some anonymous person who's not around to change the rules from time to time. It's incredible.
I love it. Although I do think that perhaps a lot of the reasons why you said he should consider Bitcoin are probably reasons why he won't, unfortunately. But who knows? Maybe.
Well, let's see. Is he listening? Is he listening? Did I change his mind?
I don't know if Vitalik is a regular listener to the pod, but maybe.
All right.
Vitalik, if you're listening, you know what? You have an open invite on the show. I'll probably keep you muted the whole time, but you're welcome anytime. All right, volunteers, who would like to go next?
I can try and pitch to my macro professor.
Oh, I would love to hear that.
Yes.
please.
Go, Mitchell.
All right, Mitchell. In 3, 2, 1.
All right, Professor. So you know how every class you say we want to target 2% inflation, and we never get that in a year. There's never 2% CPI. So with Bitcoin, we can actually know exactly how much money is in the system. It's a programmatic monetary supply. It's 21 million. It cannot be changed. The government cannot change it. We don't have to deal with interest rates. We don't have to manipulate anything. We don't have to trust the Fed. We don't have to worry about central banks messing it up. It's great for other countries too, not just America, because as we know, many countries have their dollars pegged to our dollars, and the fixed rate there, as we inflate, as we print more money, they also get harmed. It's decentralized. It's located on computers all around the world, and I can send it peer to peer. It's not a 9-to-5 system. If I want to send a large amount of money with the bank, I have to do it during the week, during business hours. If I'm on the weekend and I need to send, $1 million across the sea, there's no way to do that with the traditional financial system. But with Bitcoin, nobody can stop that. Nobody can steal your wealth if you store it properly with private keys on a cold wallet, cold storage. And it's unstoppable. So there's really no reason we should be using fiat instead of Bitcoin.
Claps all around. Well done. I think I don't know if you convinced him or her, but I hope you did. If you were
I'll
listening.
clip it, show it to him.
Okay.
All right, Jessica, who would you like to pitch? Putting you on the spot.
I would like to pitch neighbor I don't like.
All right, pitching neighbor I don't like.
Nice.
Do you want to give us some background story on why you don't like this neighbor, or you just want to go right into it?
No, they're just rude. I don't know.
These are hypothetical neighbors. I'm sure she loves all her neighbors.
Not a friendly neighbor, not someone you like to talk to.
Well, it's very big of you that you would like to orange pill this person and clue them into something so incredible as Bitcoin, even though you don't like them. It says a lot about your character, and I appreciate
that. Make them a better person.
It says that Bitcoin is for everyone, even bad neighbors. So
Bitcoin fixes you.
All right, for the bad neighbor, in 3, 2, 1.
All right, neighbor, I know we don't get along, but we both need money to survive. And you can see the world climate right now. We're being stuck in our homes. You see other countries where people aren't allowed to leave. They're trying to tell you what to do. You can see that you're not in charge of your own money. The US dollar isn't backed by gold. It's backed by a reputation. And when you look at Bitcoin, it can't be inflated, ungovernable. No one can take it from you. You can travel with your wealth. Imagine if you're in a country where they're saying that you can't leave, or they take your money away from you. For example, Cuba, that happened. So you can travel with all of your wealth on a USB with no one telling you what, how, when you can spend your money. It's not run by one person. It's run by people like you and me. Even if you and I don't like each other, we can still interact and transact. And we're what keeps this new monetary system trustless.
Boom. For the people, by the people. I love it.
even for bad neighbors.
Yep.
Even for bad neighbors. All right, Dan, do you have someone in mind you'd like to pitch? If not, you could pitch all of the Uber drivers at large and why they should save their money in Bitcoin or do what you're doing. Unless you're
So my orange pilling experience is usually like a bar conversation with, most age demographics. I mean, I haven't noticed it not being very, successful with really any demographic. But yeah, just a conversation at a bar about investing, and usually ends up pivoting into a conversation about Bitcoin. So that's sort of my expertise and what I've been honing for years.
So how about then you're at a bar and someone really drunk comes over, spills beer on you. You're instead of getting upset, you say, "Hey, drunkie, let me buy you a beer and tell you about Bitcoin in 1 minute." And that's the premise.
Yeah. I will like to say the crux of my orange pilling experience is by drawing out intriguing questions to get a better understanding of a person's standpoint, and then sort of, pivoting to find the best, motive to push in order to, pique some interest. And usually it ends in a continuous conversation with a barrage of questions on their end, which are, easily flood bustable, and then I divert them to the resources necessary, and they have all the tools they need to move forward. So
So
All
Brecky,
right.
you play the drunk in this, and you spill the beer on Dan, and when he says, "What the hell is going on?" I think he needs a foil here.
A foil. All right. Let's see if we can. Hey, man, you buy me a beer?
yeah.
Why? What's this Bitcoin on your T-shirt? Why are you using Bitcoin? What is this thing?
Yeah, Bitcoin is it's a decentralized money. It's peer-to-peer operational capital that allows you to do whatever you want. It's uncensorable, censorship resistant.
I can do whatever I want with the money. I can always do it. People take dollars. What's wrong with these dollars? I just bought a beer with these dollars. Why do I need this Bitcoin thing?
Oh, dude. So like another thing I like to do is I like to ask the question of without pulling out your phone, how many apps do you have on your phone?
Dan, you're not acting with me, man. Okay, we were doing a role playing thing here. Dan, you gotta work with me.
I'm trying.
Right,
Man,
not everyone does the role play thing.
I'm
Drunk
sorry.
Brecky, he asked you how many apps do you have on your phone?
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm too drunk to look at
Yeah, no, I take a very calculated approach, and it definitely takes some sort of semblance of relationship. So most of the time, it just comes from being amicable at a bar, and then our conversation turns to what are you working and whatnot, and then that pivots into the orange pill conversation. I'm not great at pitching on the spot or like small term pitching. I like to glean that information from you guys, really. And so yeah, I'll just say you can probably do it better than me in a minute.
Can I offer another orange pilling tactic that works really, really well? And it is when you're at a restaurant and you're going to be leaving a tip at the end, and you can start a conversation with the server at the beginning of the meal and say, "Have you heard of Bitcoin?" Because you can always joke, "I'd like to pay in Bitcoin." And if they say they haven't, everyone says they've heard of it, but they don't have any. That's your. Or you say, "Do you know what? I'll leave you your tip today in Bitcoin. Just make sure to download Breeze Wallet or Wallet of Satoshi sometime during the meal." They always do, unless their phone has run out of battery, but that's the rare exception. And if you're going around carrying like a Lightning wallet with a little bit of cash a little bit of Satoshi balance in there, you can get them pretty interested because you're going to leave them a 10, 20, 30, depending on the restaurant you're at, 10, 20, $30 tip. And that's what you do at the end of the meal. And they see, wow, okay, it's there. And you can explain a little bit to them and they're off. And of course you run back and stack. You don't want to be $10 short of Bitcoin. I always FOMO back in after I spend a little bit of Bitcoin on Lightning, but it's really, really effective because who doesn't?
You strike.
Yeah. I use Strike for that as well. Anytime I'm like, I pay for something with Bitcoin, like I use Strike, that way I don't touch the stack that I'm auto stacking with Swan. It's easy.
Exactly. So. Yeah. And I just wanted to say, you guys, like, a lot of people are like, "Oh, what's the best way to pitch?" But honestly, whatever just comes from you and your heart, you just got to keep practicing and, just speaking about it. You might think, "Oh my gosh, that was the worst pitch in the world," but you never know what sticks to people's minds and you actually get them thinking. So as long as you're speaking about Bitcoin, you're excited and you just want to, orange pill people, just keep doing what you're doing. And eventually, everyone's going to have Bitcoin someday, whether they like it or not. So So yeah, just keep talking about Bitcoin. That's all you have to do.
Tomorrow's daily
Hard
essay
to
from
stop.
Tomer is going to be called "Bitcoin Comes from the Heart." I'm very excited for it.
I love that.
It's in the subconscious.
Yes.
I'll be processing it.
All right, everybody. I think that might do it for today. I just wanted to thank you all for joining us. I had a lot of fun today. It was great hearing your stories and great meeting some of you and catching up with others. I don't want to hold Jessica and Dan too long from BitBlock Boom. So please go enjoy it for me. Go give Gary a hug. Give everybody a hug. Go see if Saifedean is wearing shoes or Vibram sandals still. He was wearing those last time. Nobody knows he wears those. Sorry, Saif. I'm doxing your feet. And go sign up for Swan Force, swanbitcoin.com/enlist. I think that's about it. Camilla, any parting words before we go?
I just want to say I appreciate and love you guys. Honestly, it's an honor and pleasure to be, working directly with some of you, and then with the rest of you, it's like I honestly do feel like we're just one big team. So I appreciate everything you guys do on your everyday life to try to orange pill people, and it's going to be a long life journey, so you're stuck with us forever.
Happy to be here.
Thank you for having us on, guys.
Worst people to be stuck with.
Thanks so much. It's true. That's true. Also, was it Mitchell who was talking about writing Bitcoin in the sand at the beach?
Yeah.
Just be careful next time you do that. Don't make sure you do it where there's like some rocks on one side so nobody can write cash afterwards. You gotta be careful. Or put some designs on the side.
I kept an eye on it. Don't worry.
Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining. Go enjoy your weekend. Sign up at swanbitcoin.com/enlist for our amazing referral program. Get paid to recruit people to Bitcoin. And that's all I got, folks. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.